Do you ever feel insecure around people? Like you just, like you want to be able to influence them around something or persuade them, but you're just like, oh, I don't know, are they going to listen to me? They're a bit this or they're a bit that. Or have you ever been around people where you just think, they're just not getting me? Welcome to day 70 of my 90-day mental, emotional, spiritual well-being series. If you feel that way, is it them or is it you? What can you change? What can you influence? What can you make happen? So whatever you want to have happen. So say you have a product that you're selling, say you want to influence them around something, say you want to have them agree with you, say you want to know their opinion. What can you do? What can you change so that they are on board with you? Well, we all have a certain style. We all have a certain strength in the way that we communicate. Okay, so and there's broadly 4 different kind of personality styles or learning styles or communication preferences, if you like. There's a ton of work out there on this area, but within us there's certain strengths that we have in the way that we communicate and certain style that we have that we are more practiced in. That's our go-to. That's just a very natural way. And then the other 3 are ones that we also have but may not be as strong. We may be strong in 2 or 3, and we may vary our strengths and our natural flow depending on the circumstance or who we're with or what the situation is. So let me clarify. So do you know people who are like, they really talk very fast and they're like full and they're quite animated and they dress really well and they've got really sharp and they speak really fast and you know they're quite excited about what they're saying and you know they're really kind of like getting out there and there's a lot of energy and they're just like, whoa, and you're listening to them and you're going, wait, slow down, what are you saying? Or they're just like, they're too frantic, they're too like highly strung, right? Maybe you might feel that way about them. Maybe you might think that they're whatever you think, right? So you might have a difference. If you notice how they are and you notice that I'm not quite on the same vibe as them, then there's a difference. Okay, so that kind of preference of communication, maybe it's you, is visual. So somebody who's quite visual tends to speak really very fast, tends to have like quite, you know, their shoulders back, quite engaging, kind of looking at you in the eye, very expressive. Maybe they'll gesticulate a little bit. Maybe they dress really well because it's like, look at me, I've just arrived, I'm in the room, I'm here. So they may have that kind of a personality which matches the way that they speak and their tone and their volume, because they might be quite loud because hello. All right, so that might be your style. You might know people like that who are very visual. So they're thinking pictures, they've got a lot going on and they just want to gush it all out, right? On the other hand, you know, you might know some people who kind of really take their time about what they're doing and what they're going to say, and you know, and it's great because we've got all the time in the world, you know, and I don't know, what do you think about that? And I don't know, let's just have a nice cup of tea and talk over it. You might be going crazy, you might be like, get to the point, what is this? Now that person, that personality style, that kind of learning or communication style is kinesthetic. So they tend to speak slower, a bit more breathy, and might be touching their hair or their face, or might get really close to you, into your personal space, might be very huggy, sitting close to you, might enjoy having a lovely warm cup of tea while they're speaking. Okay, so if you're around somebody like that and your style is very visual, you're going to be going, come on, get to the point, I don't have all day here, right? So you might find that there's a mismatch in the vibe. But if you're also in a quite calm, relaxed, you know, you've got all the time in the world, then you kind of think, oh, you know, this person is like amazing. Like, they're just so on my vibe. Now, there's, you know, a time and a place for each of these different kind of ways to communicate, because, you know, if you are in a business situation or got to make some decisions, which kind of characteristic, which kind of personality style within you do you need to bring out? Right, the more visual one, right? So, excuse me. So just think about where you are, where your natural flow is. Oh, this is always live, always one take, so I'm just going to continue. The third one, you might know someone who is quite articulate, but you know what? They have to figure things out first, and let's just have a look at all the detail around this, because we need to really make sure that we've got a measured approach. And, you know, what time did you say you're going to be there? Oh, okay, so 1400 hours. Okay, great. And how big is the venue? All right, great. And do you know how long it's going to take? Because we need to know what time we need to leave to get there on time. Okay, and make sure that you've got everything that you need. Okay, have you checked the weather? Have you got everything you need in your bag? Okay, great. Okay, let me just check this off my list. What else do I need to do? So you may know someone like that, or that might be your preferred communication style as well. So somebody who's quite process driven, they like lists, they need to know detail, like when, how long it might take, cover all the contingencies, all right? They need to have a lot more certainty. And that person's communication style or their learning preference is auditory digital. So they need to figure things out, they need to work it out. They are in their head quite a lot, and their speech is like in between. So it's not really slow and it's not super fast, but it's very kind of inward. And there's quite a lot of questions that come out, and they, as I say, they want quite a lot of certainty, because they want to know everything's going to go according to plan, because they are the planners and they're the organizers and they're the systems people. So if you are working with, I mean, there's a great role for that, right? There's, in the world of work, that is highly valued. And in fact, if you think about the schooling system, it's really churning out and gearing a preference, if you like, for that style of learning. Okay, so so if you find that there's a mismatch when you meet somebody like that, and you find that they're too in your head, like a little bit emotionless, it's like, come on, loosen up, you know, be a bit more spontaneous. They're not going to like take that very kindly, because their preference, their learning system is what it is. And if you're meeting that person, the way that you align with them is to meet them with the kind of language and the words and the tonality and the kind of structure that they have. So this all takes some time to move away from whatever your core learning style, your communication style is. And if you want to gain rapport, if you want to get influence, if you want to persuade someone, then it's a question of bringing out that part of you which matches where they are. And that does take some skill, and it does take some time and practice. And the fourth one is, as I'm doing right now, hopefully, is just auditory. So just where people are just listening, and it's quite a melodical tone of voice, and you've got something relevant to say, and it's quite inviting, and you're asking some questions. You're also going inwards in what you're doing. It's quite kind of curt and prim and proper, and you know, we'll finish this on time in about 45 seconds from now. So that's auditory. So you're listening quite intently, you're giving directions or instructions, but it's not as in the head as the auditory digital. So I want you to just think as a task, just what is your preference? Who are you most of the time? And notice the people in your circle, in your life. What are their preferences? Do you get on with them? Do they irritate you? Or is it a bit slow? Are you frustrated with them? And maybe there's a way of resolving that by adopting that learning style when you're communicating with them. We're done. I'll speak to you in the next video.